Hello, my name is Jamie Birchall, and you are listening to and or watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents.
Pinball Presents.
Wormhole Pinball Presents. Today, I'm very, very excited to be joined by two great individuals. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by a very special guest.
And today, I'm very excited to be joined by two awesome guests all the way from Arizona.
Hello, my name is Jamie Birchall, and you are listening to and or watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents. And today I'm very excited to be joined by a very special guest, Joe Ciaravino of Pinball Degenerates on Pinside, and a fairly new podcast on Patreon called Dude, Where's My Code? Welcome to the Wormhole virtually, Joe.
Thank you very much for having me, Jamie. It's an honor to be part of this and to be a guest. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if a special guest. I'm just a guest.
No,
not so
you're
special.
A special guest. We first met at Expo.
Yeah, this past October.
It's the first time we've ever actually met. My friend Ian Jacoby was with, kind of nudging off your booth, if you will. And
we were nudging off each other. We were nudging each other's budge, so to speak.
There you go.
We were budging each other's nudge.
And
but it was great.
I've really gotten to know you on the weekly chat that we have on the Discord content creators that Colin Oshhammer put together.
Yeah.
And there's 6 to 10 of us there on a weekly basis, and we just talk pinball. It is a good group. And I really like that. Those chats are fun. Okay, as usual, these interviews are very, very informal. Joe, let's go. Let's talk right off the bat. I like to start today about competitive pinball.
All right, let's go into
passion for both of us, right?
Yeah.
How's the pinball scene in Toronto, and how often do you play in tournaments?
I try to play in most, if not all, the major tournaments here in Toronto. We've got several leagues running. I've been kind of not doing so much the leagues as much because it's just right now just DeGenies getting ready for a bunch of stuff and traveling and a whole bunch of stuff. But I try to contribute. So I've actually started up a league of my own, which is kind of an informal league. But we have some great leagues already that are IFPA sanctioned. We've got City Pinball here in Toronto. We've got Bluffs Pinball in the East End where I live. And we've also got the Maple Pinball, which is in the West End part of Toronto, actually technically Mississauga, which is kind of like right just on the cusp on the west sort of edge of Toronto. And they're really great. They've got, I'd say, over 60 pinball machines there. It's a great location in Maple. Cabin Fever is where we have our City Pinball meets. They're a much smaller. It's kind of a small kind of hole in the wall kind of dive bar, but the collection there is top notch. The games are always playing incredibly well. At Cabin Fever, they have operators. Dan Beeson does a great job, and the owner Robin Harrison does an amazing job as the owner proprietor of the bar there. And it's just a really awesome vibe, very cozy. It's like kind of a pinball. Obviously a pinball hangout, a great place to buy like a vintage record, like vinyl and stuff. Great cocktails, great craft beers on tap, and really, really amazing place. Just a great place, even just to take a date and have just a kind of cool, chill place to have, and maybe play some pinball while you're on your date.
There you go.
It's a great vibe there. And there's another place called Antisocial, which has about 70 games as well, and they have an incredible, like, it's more of a kind of a club where you have to, like, well, it's not a club, but like it's a $20 entry. All the games are on free play, but all the games are like LEs or premiums. Like there's it's nice. Unbelievable. Like there's this guy Steve Lafort is the owner. He just goes all out on the premiums, and even if a game doesn't have a topper, he gets like a custom topper for that game. And like it's like completely, like, all the games are top notch shape, and they're really high quality games. And that's called Antisocial Pinball here in Toronto. And
You're
I run a league.
Plugging everybody, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I want to support as much as I can of the community here, because they've given me so much.
Yeah.
So and I can only, and they're friends of mine, so like, of course, like, I'm going to be there for them. But but again, to plug something for myself, I'm doing this thing. So in Toronto, we have a lot of raccoons, like a lot of cities have raccoons, but we try to pretend we're special with our raccoons. But we call them trash pandas. So I run the Trash Panda Pinball League, and it's a kind of a very entry-level casual league that's not IFPA certified. So we can do fun stuff like split flipper or team games or kind of wacky stuff, critical hit type tournaments where, it doesn't really matter. And it's not like for any Whopper points. People are just coming, a lot of them coming for the first time. They've never, like, literally the guy that came in first place in the first season, he'd never played in a pinball tournament before in his life. He'd been playing pinball, but never had gone out to play competitive pinball before in his life. It was the first time, the first league that he ever played in, and he won it. And that's awesome. That's why That's why it's so important to do stuff like that, get people, just new people, new interest in the hobby, and have it like a low level, very competitive, but also a very social aspect to it. And that's what really, I think, keeps me coming back. Not just the games. I love playing the games, but like it's really the people that keep you coming, right?
Yeah, it is, right? Like Houston, we have a really great scene. We've got probably 5 tournaments a week, and it's really, really growing. And what's keeping it growing is not only great places like the Wormhole, but also great people, right?
Of course, yeah. It's nothing without the people supporting it and coming, right? There's what it's just that's the heart of it, right?
Yeah,
so you guys get that.
When there's leagues that have assholes in it, they wonder why they don't grow, and it's because of the community, But there's so few and far between in pinball.
Yeah, it comes from the top down for sure. A lot of it, right? What you allow in the kind of atmosphere, and like what you allow people to get away with. But I find that a lot of these things, maybe I'm just kind of lucky with the group communities that I've been involved in Toronto. Those people generally they weed themselves out. You don't even need to really talk to them. They just figure out I'm not connecting with anybody here. They probably figured out, they think that it's like all of them. They're the jerks. And they just kind of leave. So it's generally, either that or people just realize, oh, okay, I'll just let that person, have their space. And, I think we're very, very lucky in Toronto. It's a very cosmopolitan, very, a progressive city with a lot of, very open, inclusive, atmosphere in general, in the whole city. So it's like that reflects in many other things. Pinball as a group as well is just kind of an offshoot of that kind of culture that we have in the city in general. So
well, that's great to hear.
You got to come up. You got to come up to Toronto, James. The weather is not great. I got to tell you right now. Don't come up at this time of year in the middle of early March, late February. No, you don't want to come. But June, July, August, come on up. It's great. It's really beautiful.
I would love to go and go to a ball game.
Oh yeah, the Dome. I love the Dome. People hate the Dome. I love the Dome.
I'd like to see it. You can definitely get me up there when the Yankees are in town, and that would be a lot of fun. So
yeah, hey man, I love it when the Yankees are in town too. It's great. We're lucky to be in that division that have so many great leagues, other teams. So we get like Tampa Bay and whatever. Yeah, and the Yankees, of course.
You're a pretty good player.
I'm not. No, I'm not. No. Where are you getting your information?
Your IFPA ranking.
No.
I'm sure you know it by heart.
No, my only goal was to make the top 1,000 in 2 years. I did that, and now I'm just letting it slide. Honestly, I don't check it at all, but I'm probably around 3,000 or something, or 2,000.
That's where I'm at. I think you're in the 2000s.
That's fine for me.
You know what I've been struggling with?
Sure.
Honestly, is my nerves, and I know it sounds crazy. People, if you're not a competitive pinball player and you're listening to this and you're like, Jamie, your nerves are getting to you. When I'm calm and relaxed, I play better pinball. I think we all do, right? But when I'm amped and nervous, I choke like a chicken, Joe. And
just don't choke your chicken while you're playing, because then you'll get thrown out for sure. But you'll definitely get thrown out.
I just have a tough time staying calm. I tell this story real quick. I tell the story of an airline pilot that plays with us, and he told me once, he's like, dude, I landed a plane in a 30-knot wind at O'Hare this morning, didn't bat an eye. My hand was steady. You asked me to get ball 3 multi-ball on whatever game, and I'm choking. He goes, I am literally shaking. And that's competitive pinball. So how do you handle this? How do you handle the nerves?
Not well. I don't really drink much, and I don't do any kind of other substances, but I would just find that's how some people kind of deal with the stress.
We call them performance enhancing.
That's fine. I get that's all whatever floats your boat. I don't judge it, whatever, but it's just not for me. It just puts me, especially smoking and anything like that, it just puts me in a weird, even worse headspace. But for me, it's 2 beers good. 2 beers, or I like to drink cider. I'm a cider guy, so usually I'll drink 2 ciders, or maybe a rye and ginger, and then something else. But basically 2 drinks, and I'm that's my level, just to loosen me up. And it's a fine line, because you want to be calm and relaxed, but then also you want to actually still be alert and care. You don't want to be just whatever. You gotta have to still be alert.
I'm taking a break from competitive pinball. I'm going to take a month and a half off.
That's healthy for sure.
because I get so nervous
Yeah.
that it's making it not fun for me.
But I remember you were talking to Kale down for like an interview that they were doing down from Electric Bat. I remember Kale was talking about like because I think maybe he does like jujitsu or something.
Yeah, he
and
does
breathing,
this deep breathing.
and he does like deep breathing. And I'm trying to do that, and it doesn't work for me. But like if
No.
that can work for you, great. Like I
It
think
didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I was literally channeling Kale, and I said, all right, because we had our league finals, and
Yeah.
2 out of 3 games, and he picked you pick a bank of games, and I'll tell a pinball story to you, Joe.
Yeah,
We
that's what we're here for.
start out at Jaws, and I suck at Jaws. Okay, I don't have a plan. You know, you need a plan.
You need a plan. The
Okay.
plan goes to hell when you get punched in the face like Michael Tyson used to say,
I know, but I just don't
you need
have a
plan.
freaking plan on Jaws. So I lost on Jaws. So then we go to Stranger Things. I know Stranger Things. I have a plan. I get multi-ball, kick his ass. Then we go to Elvira, and I couldn't do a thing.
Oh man,
on House of
Elvira's
Horrors.
burned me so many times.
She got me good.
It's a simple like layout. Like it's like there's nothing crazy about it.
There's nothing
crazy
that made. I just literally my shoulders were tight, and I was just. Anyway,
it's a fine line, right? Like it's a fine line you got to walk between like just going with the flow and like but also keeping your mental acuity and like focus.
It is. I never got this nervous playing golf. Never.
Yeah, no.
It was really good. And I'm thinking about dusting off this clubs for again.
Yeah.
But
hey,
no.
That's an interesting sport too. I mean, I don't play much golf other than like mini putt or like, maybe I'll go to like a golfing range or something once in a while, but I'm pretty terrible. But it's an interesting sport. When you think about it, like the amount of time you actually play golf is like probably like for like a 2 or 3 hour long thing. You're only playing the actual game. You're swinging for like, I don't know, 10 seconds or something. Like for the total amount of time you're actually doing the thing that is playing the game. The rest is just kind of like walking around and like,
this
it's a cultural thing too. It's hanging with people, and it's hanging with people too, right? Like your friends, you go out, you have a couple beers, you go on the lanes, have some sandwiches, and you call it an afternoon,
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like with golf that it's a solo performance thing. In a lot of ways, it's very singular, and it's a very much like like 90% of it is like in your head and your body mechanics, right? Because it's interesting. Somebody's kind of referred to pinball as kind of like the opposite of t-ball, if you think about it, because t-ball is all about, it's nothing to do about timing, right? Because the ball is always going to be there, right? And it's all about body mechanics as t-ball. But pinball's like the opposite. Pinball's the opposite. It doesn't really matter that much about how you press the flipper, or, you just got to have the timing, right? The timing is the most important thing in pinball.
I know.
So it's like the opposite of t-ball.
And when you're jittering, sometimes
that works. Sometimes that energy, sometimes you get lucky and you're just on the fly. You're just making like crazy on the fly shots. And you're just like, I'm like possessed. Like I'm in like a weird fucking state. Sorry if I swear, but
no, it's okay.
Like you're in a weird flow state, right? And you just let go and you're just in the zone. And then that's the magical thing when you're in that focused zone and you're not like in having any sort of internal monologue whatsoever. That's part of it, right? You're like, oh geez, I need like 20 more thousand points or I lose. Oh, you can't think about it. You're just like, okay, I made a great shot. Okay, I'm gonna make this shot. Okay, then this shot, this is flashing, gonna hit that. Oh, missed it. Okay, I'm gonna do a little later. Hit that. Good. Okay, moving on. Like that's the kind of monologue you need to be having, right?
I know.
And that's the beauty of pinball. Like
I know.
It makes you present. Like when you're playing pinball, it's such a great like Zen experience. Like in the best possible way, it's like a great distraction from the rest of life in the best possible way. Because if you're thinking about, oh man, I got to do the laundry and then I got to pick up the kids at 8 and then we got to take them to choir practice tomorrow and then you've lost. You're not playing pinball. You are in a different world. You have to be thinking about that little silver ball that's happening right now in front of your nose, like right down in front of your eyes. And if you're not thinking about that, you're lost. You lose because you lose up here first. What are you going to do with your flippers? What do you think controls your hands that control the flippers? It's up here.
So right.
Your brain. So, right. So if your brain is not playing the game, then how are your hands going to play the flippers and how the flipper's going to hit the ball?
It's going to cost me a lot of money in therapy to figure that out.
Well, you can just talk to me. You can just talk to me, man. I'll be a pinball therapist.
We'll figure it out. All right, let's switch gears to when you first got into the pinball content creation space. Like what came first for you?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, really, I'm kind of new to content creation. Like, I've always been a great, like voracious consumer of pinball content, all the podcasts, starting with like the great Nate Shivers and Coast to Coast Pinball. It was a very kind of sparse landscape, even just like 7 or 8 years ago. And I think like so much, nothing can be said about like podcasting or content creation without like mentioning like Joe Said, who started streaming pinball, and Jack Danger, who started streaming pinball, and Nate Shivers. Like these guys were real pioneers, and they've all gone on to do different things in their lives. But I think what the standard of like quality and seriousness and that they brought to the hobby of pinball and discourse of pinball and the fun of it, and how engaging it can be for a kind of a mass or larger audience, let's just say, as opposed to just a singular experience, which usually, you're going to arcade, you're usually not playing with other friends, you're just by yourself and you're just having a singular experience. Opening that up to all the different possibilities of being social and interacting on chat and letters and a discourse, that has really opened up the whole hobby in a new level that you cannot underestimate all these people have done. So I've always been a huge consumer of pinball podcasts, streaming, and award shows like the Twippies, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. Like it's all been like part of this great kind of mosaic of fun. And but like, yeah, I mean, I started Pinball Degenerates about 7 years ago. That I wouldn't say that's really content creation. It's more of like a community creation, right? That's the way I see it, because it's not like some crazy egotistical like project for like, it's like,
but if you're not engaging your people, if you're not engaging them with content, your group's going to die, right? So
well, yeah, you set the standard, you set the tone, right? You set the tone, and you try to like show, okay, well, this is acceptable, and this is what we're about. And you may be new here, and it really just started with me like bringing in all my pinball friends at first, because those are the people that I knew, right? Like I wasn't like it is a private group, but it's not to be like a gatekeeping jerk. It's just to make sure that like that we don't get bots constantly spamming like the thing, and just people understand that it's like, okay, look, like you're gonna be part of this community, you have to be respectful to everybody else, show all the wacky, crazy, fucked up, crazy pinball stuff you're into. That's great. Like, be a degenerate, don't have any, we're not going to judge you, we're not going to rip you apart, we're not going to like criticize you or anything. We're just gonna, we understand we're one of you, like. And it just started with a great group of friends, and then it kind of like started again. I don't need it to be like the biggest pinball group in the world. I just want it to be a great pinball group. That's all I want. It's a great
group, Joe.
Well,
congratulations.
It's hard. It's hard sometimes.
I really enjoy posting on the Degenerates. I get a lot more feedback from them, and it's been a very good community. So thank you.
Well, thanks to the community. That's what, again, it's all about, right? Like you try to set like an example, and it's hard. It's hard. You don't always get it right. I've messed up. I've lost, I've said sometimes some stuff that I've regretted, and I've owned up to it. And we try to all kind of understand if somebody says something kind of like offensive or sexist or whatever, something that like that would kind of like, make other people in the group feel less than, I would, I don't just ban them like an asshole. I message them privately, and I say, look, this is kind of like counter to what like we sort of believe in as a group.
Yeah, coach them up.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm just like, I don't want to be like, again, I don't want to be like, patronizing, but just like, hey man, like I'll tell you, look, this is the reason why this is not cool. And if you could take it down, I'd appreciate it. I don't want to have to remove it or anything like that, but like, I just want you to understand. And some people are like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't really mean it that way. I was just having a lighthearted joke. No problem. Like that's like 99% of the time. 1% of the time, they'll be like, fuck you, man, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, see you later. Well. Bye. I tried to talk to you like an adult and explain to you kind of what we're about. And if you don't want to be part of that, you can go, you can leave. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine.
Well, you've done a good job there. Congrats.
Well, it's hard. It is a hard.
And find them on Pinball Degenerates on Facebook. It's a great. Facebook group.
Facebook's groups /groups.pinball degenerates, all one word, Pinball Degenerates. And like everybody, like as long as you're not a robot or a jerk, you're welcome to come join. Like that's basically the only
sounds like pretty easy, right?
Prerequisite, right? Yeah. So it's just like that's why there's like some questions for like bots. Like it's great. I get all the responses from the bots that clearly it's like a chat GPT response. Like, what's your favorite pinball machine? My favorite pinball machine is, and in quotes, for some reason, it always does it in quotes, Adam's Family Pinball. That is my favorite pinball machine. And I'm just like, that's a little suspect, So, it's like, if somebody says something like their favorite game is like Hard Bodies, then then okay, you're in, like you're part of us. You're one, you understand. And so like, there's just agree to not be a jerk to other people, be respectful, That's all, and just add whatever crazy shit you're doing in pinball, whether it's another podcast or streaming or a restoration that you just finished that you're super proud of, and just anything, just jokes, memes, throw them all in there, and we're all gonna just appreciate it, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, Joe, I found it to be a very, encompassing, nice group. So there you go.
I mean, we try. I mean, we're degenerates, not jerks.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
We're
great.
degenerates. We're obsessed. Like, 'cause I don't like. Again, I kind of bristle at the idea. Like, pinball wizards is like that's the default. Most of the normies use to describe like a person who's enthusiastic about pinball. But it's like I'm a degenerate, and that was like that. And came to me. That was actually inspired. The term was inspired to me by a group of friends, all American friends. Greg Pavarelli, Steve Bowden, and the late great Lyman Sheets. They were all in town in Toronto for IFPA 15. And after a grueling weekend, okay, like grueling, just like top level pinball, like we're talking competitive level play, the highest in the world. After like 15 or 16 hours straight of that, these guys didn't just go home and go to sleep and get a good night's rest for the next, like the finals. They went downtown. They traveled like another 2 hours to get downtown Toronto, partied up at like midnight till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And at this bar where I used to work there, I still love these guys, Tilt Arcade Bar. And they came and they partied. Lyman Sheets, Greg Pavarelli, Steve Bowden, and we're all having fun. We're all playing pinball. We're just enjoying pinball. You'd think you'd be sick of it after all this time, but they're degenerates. They can't get enough of it. And I was like, you guys are degenerates, man. You guys are partying up way into the morning hours. It's going to be like you guys have to be back at the finals in like 5 hours. You guys are crazy. And that's where just kind of the idea came to me. Like, that's the real spirit of pinball. It's, yeah, sure, be competitive and all that stuff is a lot of fun. But it's like just getting together your friends, have a couple beers, relax, be social, enjoy the games, enjoy the company. And that's what I love about it. That's what makes you a degenerate, in my opinion.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Well said.
Yeah, it's just, and that's why, I mean, it's the community and it's all the people that really inspire me. And again, it's about everybody in the group. It's not about like all the dumb memes and jokes that I post and everything. It's nothing without everybody else contributing to it. Okay.
Well, go check them out, guys, because it's really it is really good. What gave you the idea to start Dude, Where's My Code?
Well, I loved, like, I mean, again, it's not a mean-spirited thing. It's kind of a satire of that, entitled.
Explain it for everyone in case they don't know.
So the podcast,
My Code
is
on Patreon, right?
Yeah, it's on Patreon. That I get a lot of flack for that. It's only $2 a month.
It's $2.
It's only $2 a month, but whatever it is. I feel that for me as a content creator, it was important. Like I have like the kind of intro that's like free is like, hey, if you think that this is something you'd be interested in, take a listen to these kind of like little sample interviews that I did. And if so, give it a shot for $2. And if you don't like
on YouTube, and I thought that was really smart. I think the little snippets that you took from those great interviews were excellent. Well done there. How many episodes have you done so far?
We just had our 9th one. Phil Grimaldi, our good friend Phil Grimaldi from Barrels of Fun, was our most recent one for March. A new podcast every month. Month.
Okay, good. He's the godfather of Houston pinball. Without him and the Drones and a lot of other people, Houston pinball doesn't exist. So
yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic ambassador for pinball. And again, I've met so many incredibly brilliant, passionate people. I only met Phil a couple times at some tournaments like Pinburg and a couple Pinburgs and a couple things here in like Papa. And I spoke to him very briefly, but like it was so amazing to get to know people like Phil. They have a psychologist, like Phil has like a doctorate in cognitive psychology. And I'm just like, that's amazing. How do you take, we talk about this in the interview. How do you take your knowledge of cognitive psychology and learning, the psychology of learning? How do you take that and apply that to pinball rules? Using nonverbal cues, sort of like any kind of like mnemonic devices to help people remember, certain rule sets and stuff like that. And he has so much that he puts into that. That's his background that he puts into it. It's incredible. The guys that, like, all these people are so incredibly smart. And it's really a pleasure, honestly. It is $2 a month, but I honestly would kind of do this for free because it's such a great journey.
No, I think it's smart by starting out on Patreon. I think it's harder for people when they jump back and forth from Patreon.
Maybe.
You know?
I want to give these people exposure, right? Because again, the
Yeah.
whole point is that these people are doing the code, and people only really complain when they haven't done their job or they don't think that they've done their job the way they wanted to, right? But when they do their job, and they usually do at the end of the day when the code is finally finished, it's amazing. Like there's so many rare instances. Like I can't even think of an instance where a game has been like finished, it's done, and it's still a stinker. Like I can't even think of a game off the top of my head where that of a modern game like where the code is not going to be
I'm sure we
changed
could
anymore.
come up with one or
Well,
two.
maybe, but like there's a couple, but they're just outliers, right? Eventually you
Yeah.
kind of have to have faith that people really care. These people working on the games behind the scenes, they're going to finish the game, they're going to do their job because they love it, and they're not just like punching in, they're doing something in pinball because they want to do it in pinball, and they love it, and they take it very seriously, they really do, and I take it seriously. And so that's the whole point, is to give these people a platform. I wish people would literally, not even for like the subscribers and viewers, it's literally just for the exposure for these people to get their names out there, because we all know the Steve Ritchies, the Pat Lawlers, the Jack Dangers, the Mark Seidens of the world, like we all know these names. They're the designers of the playfields. They're like the directors, the really kind of big faces to each of these games. But the people working behind the scenes, the people doing all the stuff behind the scenes and working literally relentlessly, like morning, noon, and night.
Yeah.
Those people are really working hard, and you could make the argument very easily that in modern pinball, with the given the sort of standardized kind of games that we have now, it's kind of like like not there's not JJP is not doing wide bodies anymore. It's all kind of a standard size that everything is kind of generally coalescing around. Like you're dealing with a very finite real estate area, and there's only so much that you can do mechanically, shots, that you can change everything up without it being somewhat samey and repetitive a little bit. Like there's still ingenious stuff that people are still doing, but there's only a certain amount you can do with a game physically. But there's so much more, like an incredible, especially with the technology now, with LCD screens and lighting and sound and video and all the different things that you can do under the hood, so to speak, or under the playfield. The
Right.
technology that's part of the experience of not just shooting shots for the sake of shooting shots, but making them meaningful, emotional, narrative-driven based moments. And the anticipation. I was talking to Elizabeth Gieske from Stern Pinball.
That was an excellent one.
She worked on just recently Dungeons and Dragons, and of course Jaws was her first game that she worked on. She talks about, it's not just the big blow up moments, it's the anticipation, it's the moment, it's the build up that she wants to focus on to get there, the frustration. I got to make that shot. Geez, I missed it. Oh geez. Okay, I got to make that shot. Oh, okay, I got to make it twice now. Okay, I got to make it now. I got to make it fast. And like all that anticipation to get to the big payoff is like the real art that these people are working and crafting. It's just like a story in I'm a movie guy. So like you can't just have like explosions. I was talking to Josh Sharp. You can't just have Michael Bay explosions constantly, fireworks, because then that gets really boring. It means nothing. But the anticipation and being able to build up to it and really feel like you've earned that. Now that's what we're talking about. That's the real pinball moment. And that's what these people are all about making. And you can really craft that now as a programmer. You can make a story out of a pinball game. Again, to bring a parallel, again, you get me talking about pinball, I'm never going to stop.
No,
but,
man.
Movies and pinball have such an amazing parallel. Originally, movies were just seen as like a idle, entertainment. You would put your nickel in the Nickelodeon and you'd watch a lady, in her swimsuit for like 20 seconds or something. You'd get like some, titillating video, like film content, and then you'd move on. It was like a circus freak show or something, like in a an attraction, a sideshow attraction, and that was what film started out. It's just kind of a curiosity. But then people were like, oh wow, I can actually tell a story with this technology. I can actually get like other things like sound and color and things that make it more engaging for the audience, and I can actually tell something that like has like a real art form and like a real human experience. And I think pinball's kind of hitting this level where film and video games as well, because video games were just like arcade experiences. They were just something you played it for like Donkey Kong for like 2 minutes, and then you moved on, right? You ate all your quarters, and you moved on, and you didn't think about it anymore. But now you've got games like games like Legend of Zelda, or Final Fantasy. You've got epic storylines now where you're engaged for multiple, like tens of hours of gaming time, and you're engaged. You care about these characters, you care about what happens to them, you want to see a sequel, you want to come back to it again and again and again. And I think pinball is kind of getting that way because of the home market, because of the demands of a home market environment tournament, people are putting these games in their home. They won't want to just play them for like a month or two and then get rid of them because, like, bringing a pinball machine to your home is quite an ordeal. Anywhere, hauling a pinball machine is an investment in a lot of ways for different things, physically and money. And you want to have something that represents you, that connects to you emotionally, intellectually, like just on many different levels. You don't want just like an idle kind of piece of entertainment that you just consume and then throw away. So I think pinball is kind of hitting this kind of threshold right now. And you talk about games like Dungeons and Dragons. Wow, like you're carrying over player progress. You're carrying, like I talked to Dwight Sullivan. Again, not to push the pinball the podcast, but like this what blows my mind. We didn't get specifically into D&D at the time because he was just literally on the cusp of revealing it. But he was talking about his game, technically his game 7 for Stern. And he was talking about how he's put so much time and effort, and it's like it doubles the amount of code that of the previous like games that he did like only like 4 or 5 years ago. It's unbelievable. And the amount of work that's going into it. And again, not to take anything away from like Brian Eddy and the amazing dragon and all the fun mechanical stuff like the gelatinous cube and Wrath, the relentless, the head, the dragon. It's amazing. Like nobody's ever done anything that complicated before. And like it's wild. But the code is really what's going to get you to come back and get that second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth quarterback in there. Or on my account, I'm a Canadian, so loonies and toonies. So, that's what's going to keep the player engaged and being like, yeah, this is a game that I want for my home. This is a game that I want to keep playing on location. This is a game that I want to keep playing, and that's the code. It's not necessarily just the shots and the getting the score. People want to like, it's like, again, in video games, it was like back in the day in arcade games, people are like, well, what's your score in Donkey Kong? What's your score in Pac-Man?
Right.
That's all that mattered, right? Now, who cares about your score in a, like Zelda or Final Fantasy? This doesn't even exist. It's about what you've experienced in the game, or like the Indiana Jones game that just came out. I'm a huge Indiana Jones
played
fan.
it. I haven't.
It looks
played
amazing.
I'm all into Call of Duty right now.
Oh, Call of Duty, sure, right, yeah, and it's just like you're
playing
the
new Call of Duty.
Nice.
I'm up in my character. I've already prestiged a whole bunch of guns, and
it's a personal thing. It's a personal thing.
Yeah, like we did all the ARs with my son when he was here for Christmas. And
awesome, great time over the Christmas holidays.
Man, I had a ball.
That's so American. I love it.
So I played a game with Albert Igar.
Oh,
and
I love Orby.
And I want to play the same game with you. So we're going to talk about a pinball rumor mill, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to give you some hot takes.
Oh, shit.
On some of these rumor machines, and you tell me what you think. Let's start with the monster, King Kong, coming from Stern, possibly, right?
Yeah. I mean, again,
I said this. Okay. Let's just pretend that this is happening, right?
Okay, sure.
Pretending.
Yeah.
Okay. I said to Orby, I said, I want King Kong to climb up the Empire State Building, have planes running around him.
Physically in the game. You don't want just like an LCD screen of it.
No. I want it physically in the game.
A physical skyscraper.
I want Kong coming up it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's my take. Is that possible? Are they going to do this?
I mean, look, I'm all about
plastic and.
No, I mean, I we'll see. I mean, again, like it is tough bringing like that level of mechanical. I'm just thinking like having a vertical thing. There's only like you had the building in Godzilla, which raises and lowers. That's I mean something that's relatively like about 1.5 feet, almost 1.5 feet.
Just Kong climbing the Empire State
Sure, I'm all about it.
I'm all about what we need.
I'm all about it, but like. I mean, and you talk about other games like what is it, Wipeout, like the old like the Gottlieb game, like with like it has like a whole ski hill and the ball goes up the ski hill and it comes down, and like it's possible. It just depends on like, but for a mechanical thing like that, you always have to balance it out. And Keith is always about the shots, right? Like I'm not sure if he's super keen on what I like to call TEMA, which is a thing that I try desperately to make it a term. But almost nobody, except for Multimorphic, they use that term in their recent promo. I got to shout out to my friend Steven Silver, who put that in the promo for Princess Bride Pinball. They actually use the word thematically integrated mechanical action, which to me is not it may not be the most important thing for most people, but for me, it's what makes pinball unique. It's that You know, like you're saying, like I want something to happen physically in the game that relates to the theme. It has to be, thematically integrated mechanical action. It can't be just like mechanical action for the sake of it. That's
Maybe
my.
this will catch on. Maybe
I
it'll
don't think
catch
so.
on.
No, it's never
Joe,
gonna. I've already tried. I've already tried so hard, and
Get
no one
Stephen
wants to make
Bowden
it.
to put it
I
in his
tried.
dictionary.
He doesn't want anything to do with it. But I love him. He's a great guy. But there's no way that's going in the new pinball dictionary anytime soon, anyhow. But like, my point is like, yeah, that's what I think people crave. It's not just like shots, because like, yeah, you can. There's other games that where you make a shot and you get points. Like, pool is like a different kind of, like, it's an ancestor. Like pool, you make shots and you make the shots and you do it good and you put the ball where it needs to go. And that's the thing. And you're using kind of an analog as the stick as your hand, as opposed to flippers, right? It's a less mechanical thing, but it's basically they have the same ancestor, right? They like bagatelles and pool, right, is where they kind of split off. But I think that people really still crave that magical, like when you think of games like Addams Family, you think of the hand, the thing hand that comes in, picks up the ball. That's an exciting moment. It's not a big part of the game.
Madness,
the castle in Attack from Mars. The first thing you think about is exactly. It's the castle. It's so brilliant, by the way, how that works. All the the things. It's like a string that pulls it, and when it lets go of the tension, it goes down, and then when it pulls the tension down, it goes up. It straightens up. It's such a brilliant design.
We'll move on to another game. Multimorphic is supposedly releasing their newest module for the P3 platform. Portal is the rumor
I heard that
we're hearing, right? What are your thoughts on that title? Did you play the video game?
Oh, yeah. I love Portal, and I played parts of Portal 2. I haven't gotten through the whole thing. I had to kind of stop halfway through, and I never picked it back up.
It's like a puzzle game, right? My kids played it.
The best thing about Portal is that it literally takes the concept of learning. Again, going back to the psychology of learning, it takes the concept of learning in any video game, like whether you're playing like Zelda, Metroid, Mario Brothers, Call of Duty, whatever, right? When you're playing a single player game, the game goes, hey, this is what you can do. You can look up, look down, left and right. It's kind of like a play tutorial. Where and then in Portal, like there's levels that are based on kind of that same concept. It's like, oh, this is how you walk through a portal. You go through here and then you end up here. And then it's like, oh, but by the way, also, if you shoot a portal above you, you can land and then you can like jump and you can carry that momentum forward. And then you can do like this thing now. And then the next level is like, oh, but you can add this now. So do all those steps plus one thing. And then the next level is like, do all those steps again plus this new thing. And then this new thing. And you're constantly learning a new like technique or a new skill. Okay. Yeah, and that's the beauty. And that's how video games work. That's a lot of games. That's how they work. It's like, oh, I have this new item. I have this new shield or sword or gun or whatever you want to call it. And now I can do this. And now I can do everything else in my arsenal and my toolbox. And then this. And now I've got to learn and master this new thing. And now I've got this new thing. And that's the whole idea of like, again, that goes back into pinball, where it's like, a lot of games that Dwight's done with like Mandalorian. It's like, oh, I've played this long, and now I can use the flamethrower, and now I can use this item, and now I can use this, and now I got an extra ball. Wow, okay, cool. So you're taking it from like a very little seed of like a game, and then it just kind of like exponentially blossoms. And that's, I think, a lot of the keys in any game you play. It starts always very small. Board games, video games, pinball games. It starts from like a little kernel, and then it just kind of like, the fun of it is watching it kind of like evolve and all the different things that you can do, and experiencing that is so much fun. I think that's like the real like essence of what a game is, learning.
It's interesting with Multimorphic because they do such a good job incorporating video games with pinball. So
yeah, I mean, this whole screen is an interactive ball screen.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
They have some of the best team out there as well. It's not just about the screen; it's about the mechanical things that they put in the game as well for all the modules.
You're again with Prince.
I am. But really, but mechanical. You call it toys. You want to call it toys. You want to call it mechs or whatever. Like this stuff. It's all part of that. The cliche, the world under glass, right?
Yeah.
It's what makes it a unique experience as opposed to just a bunch of ramps and loops and targets, right? We've seen that many times, and it's not an engaging, emotional, narrative based experience usually, and that's just part of the evolution of the game, right? Back in the day, you'd play a game from the 60s or 70s, you'd hit a bunch of targets, and then you walk away, and that's it. I got the high score, and then you walk away. But now it's like, man, I really want to get to that new character. I want to unlock the bard in Dungeons and Dragons. I want to unlock, these characters or these different functions and modes and stuff. And you're really invested. That's a really, really smart way to make the games modern and fresh.
Playing again and again and again, and one more quarter. That's
what it's all about.
One more dollar.
Originally, that's what pinball was. It was just a passive income gaining machine, like a claw game almost. You'd put it there, you'd fix it up, you'd reload it with, fix it up, and just people you'd make passive income off that. You'd just check it every couple days and collect the coin box and whatever. But it's amazing. Like there still is that, like, again, that one more game feel to it that you kind of have to still have, even for the home market.
I like the P3. I know
I love it.
I love it too. We have one, and it's getting a flipper rebuild, and we're gonna bring it back. And I love playing Dungeon Door. That was one of my favorite damn games.
Dungeon Door better. Yeah. I mean, and there's so many great value. Again, all the third-party games. I talked to Nicholas Baldridge, who's doing some of the best third-party mods out there with Drained and then Bite-Sized, as well as kind of like a version of his Drained playfield that he's building himself. He did the code. His wife did the artwork on it. It's like a full real game. And, the value add to the P3 system, once you have the cabinet and the actual original, the base model, you can just keep on adding new games to that, and the value add is incredible. Like it's just getting better and better. Yeah,
my only issue is they're heavy as hell, dude.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, because there's so much mechs, there's so much mechanical shit in it, right? There's a screen.
Really is.
There's a screen where there should be just a piece of laminated wood, right? So like that's.
I'm just saying, good luck getting yourself. You're calling two buddies.
You gotta call Zach Menny and get an Escalera from Flipping Out Pinball. There's a plug for Zach.
Harry Potter from Jersey Jack is coming. We're hearing $4 million licensing fee.
Holy Jesus, really? Is that what they're saying?
That's what I'm hearing.
Holy shit. That's four times Beatles.
$4 million.
Wow. That's
four times Beatles.
Yeah, that's wild.
So my question quickly, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do they do the first 3 movies? Do they do the first 3 books? What's the deal? There's no way they could do all 7 books.
I don't even know if you can do just one movie in a pinball machine, just like a movie that's the first one, Sorcerer's Stone. Like,
so you could do the Sorcerer's Stone. You go in, you get sorted to your house.
You could just do a whole game about that. They're gonna have how many Harry Potter games? There are like 7.
Well, there's like 7 a 2-parter and the 8 movies.
And 8 movies because they did a 2-parter for the final one, right?
The Deathly Hallows.
Yeah, so
I know all this shit because
I don't. I'm a movie guy, so like I watched the first 2, and I understand the appeal. I get it.
The third is the best one. You're making a mistake.
I know. It's Alfonso Cuarón. It's Prisoner of Azkaban. Right?
I know.
It's the one with. I know.
Yeah, dude, it's the best one.
I kind of zoned out to the second. I was like, yeah, I guess it's kind of just more.
Yeah,
of the
but
same.
they're kids. The third one is excellent because they're becoming young adults, and it's
I know.
All right, there
that's what everyone tells me. I'm gonna give it.
There.
I am. But I know. I think it's a very rich, obviously, an incredibly deep IP, and you could put you could put so much into it, and people are still going to be like, oh, but you missed this moment. I love this little like there's all these great little moments.
It's almost a not win. It's a tough. It's hard. It's a tough situation, and Eric, he's excellent. So let's see what
Eric
he does.
Meunier. Eric Meunier is a genius as well. Again, I'm not to disparage any playfield designers. Like the stuff that these people are doing in pinball is truly remarkable. It blew my mind when Eric Meunier, I saw him he was like a video tour of Jersey Jack. And I don't know who he was talking to, but he was talking about how they designed the underside of the playfield to have the mechanisms not just stick straight down, so that the weight, they have them kind of tilted at an angle. So the way that they're screwed into the playfield is kind of diagonal, so that the weight of the mechs doesn't directly pull down on the fastening, like the screws and bolts, so that the weight of gravity doesn't like rip them right out. And I'm just like,
there you go.
That's next level thinking about like engineering, man. Just for the under the playfield stuff and the stuff he does on top of the playfield. I mean, don't even get me started, man. Well, it's incredible.
If you ever move machines for a living like we do here,
JGP, I'm sure is up there for sure.
Holy shit!
Yeah, you might just give yourself a hernia by just trying to move like a pirate.
I don't even try.
Again, get an Escalera, get a stair cliff lifter.
No, we gotta
or somebody
one of those coffin movers, but they suck.
Okay, But I think Harry Potter's a great IP. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is a bit complicated, the money, the
we'll see,
rights holder. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because again, you game like Star Wars for me, example, right? Like Star Wars I'm such a huge Star Wars fan, but like it's so hard to do that game because I want so much out of it, right? And that was only just 3 movies that I wanted to see, let alone like all 9 movies. Trying to do like something like that. Imagine trying to do a Star Wars video game where it covers from the prequels all the way to like the JJ
new trilogy.
universe. Like,
I don't even
crazy.
pretend that universe exists, so we won't talk about
that.
that.
I'm basically like an I'm like an Old Testament Star Wars fan.
Me too.
I'm like the New Testament's great and all that stuff, but like the original 3 is all that really exists, and not the specialized edition.
I don't want to go down to Star Wars world with you because
you know what I'm talking about.
I'll go into Mara Jade and what they should have done, and this
the
whole
books,
thing,
the books,
and the books.
I know,
and but
it's amazing.
It's amazing, and they effed that
Kevin
all
J.
up.
Anderson came.
Whatever. He was fantastic. Okay.
I know. Anyhow, but going back to Harry Potter, I think like it's going to be really hard. I think at the end of the day, I think people will be happy with what they get because it's like better than nothing. It's better than it never existing. Okay,
sure.
So people have to take that with that consideration. Like they're going to do their best at JJP to make as many people happy with what they put in there. But again, it's only a finite space that you can do stuff in there mechanically.
I mean, if the $4 million is real, they got to get their money back somehow. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be tough economically for sure to justify that expense. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you really think about it, like if you think about the math, like the difference between selling, the amount of games that they sell Target, like probably like 3, maybe 4, even 5,000 games, at the cost of like what's a low level? What's the like collector? What's the limited edition? $15,000, right?
Like 12,000
for 12 because I'm Canadian. I don't even know what it converts
I think it's
to
12 to 15,000.
Okay, so 12 to 15,000 US, right, per game, and they want to sell like at least 3,000 of those. So you're making like several million, like tens of millions of dollars. Does it make a difference between, is it going to kill you if you only make 36 million as opposed to like 40 million? I don't know. Like the 4 million at that point, I don't know if that's going to be a huge like deal
Joe,
breaker.
I barely graduated college, so my math.
I'm the worst. I literally have a learning disability with math, which is pretty bad
so
if you're into
let's
pinball.
Not go into there.
But
all right, 2 more left.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Spooky has Beetlejuice, Franchi on art. Gotta be perfect for Beetlejuice, right?
I'm a huge Beetlejuice fan. I think Beetlejuice, again, that's a property that really gets near and dear to my heart. I think Beetlejuice, the first one, I saw the second one, I enjoyed it. It's fine,
I'm not
but
watching it.
I'd recommend it, even if you go in as the lowest expectations, and you'll be surprised because Michael Keaton really does a great job, and it's not just they didn't go crazy, they didn't just make it like just the Beetlejuice movie, like they used Beetlejuice sparingly in the first movie. He's something that's always talked about, right? Literally,
right?
He's talking like, oh, gee, Beetlejuice is gonna show up. Ooh, where's Beetlejuice? What's Beetlejuice doing? Like, where's Poochie? Where's Poochie? That's a Simpsons reference. But anyhow, so it's about like the buildup of this character, and then when he shows up, it's like there's a big payoff, right? Like he's like larger than life, and they do that in the movie. And I think that it's a great theme for pinball because you got the sandworms from Saturn.
Gotta have the sandworms.
You've got all kinds. It's kind of like I've always wanted a Dune pinball machine. I want like a sandworm or something to eat a ball. I'm obsessed with things eating balls. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry for the Jaws fans out there. I was part of the ones leading the charge about why doesn't it eat the ball? I mean, that's the whole point of a shark is that it eats. That's the main thing that it does is eat and make little baby sharks. That's literally what they say in the movie. But anyhow, I'd love to see like a sandworm in Beetlejuice. Obviously, if you can get Michael Keaton doing the voice, that'd be insane. Even just the call outs like it's showtime, folks, and multi-ball starts. No brainer. You know what I mean? Like, so I love it. The color, and I think Franchi did an amazing job with especially Evil Dead. And if he takes that kind of like neon purple, sort of like fuchsia and green kind of colors and brings that into like he did a spec Beetlejuice Translite. If he does that treatment for the whole game, I mean, you got a no-brainer winner right there. And that would be a dream theme for me for sure. It's such a perfect movie.
It's a nice IP for them, and if they do have it, it makes a lot of sense.
It's fun. It's got star power still. Obviously, like because of Stranger Things, Winona Ryder is still like a relevant name.
Right.
Of course, Michael Keaton is a relevant name. People know who these actors are. I think that it's just Tim Burton.
What's that? Deo.
Deo, yeah,
you
man,
gotta have that to multi-ball.
Harry Belafonte, man.
Yeah,
that's
the multi-ball.
Yeah, of course. You got
Right?
the banana boat multi-ball. Sure.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah. One pinball, two pinball, three pinball brunch. Like, come on.
It's got to be.
It just writes itself for sure. I think that'd be a lot of fun. The music is part of it. It's great. It's quirky. It's fun. It's got a lot of, again, comedy. Comedy is so important in pinball. And it's weird because you think that comedy, because like hearing a joke again and again, if you go to like a stand-up and you hear their joke again and again, you know what the setup and the payoff is, you know what the punchline is. It's not as fun hearing it like multiple times. But it's weird in pinball. It's unique in pinball because like you take a game like Attack from Mars or Medieval Madness, that's like a comedy game. I love mimicking the call-outs, even though I've heard the joke 100 times, thousands of times maybe.
Rick and Morty does a good job with that.
Again, a great example. Rick and Morty, it brings me to tears. They knocked that out of the park.
Funny.
They really,
it's the call-outs are great in Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it's so good. And like, you know, like Jeff Parsons did a great job for the life game of what's his name, Mort or whatever it is. He's like, Mort died in his sleep quietly. And like, it's just like, it's just so deadpan. And that's what makes it great. Like, I think Jeff Parsons did a great job doing like a cameo voice in that as well. But again, comedy, I think it helps as like, for me as a pinball player, it helps as like a mnemonic device. Again, you talk about learning pinball, knowing that I'm going to make this shot and like making an orbit shot on like Attack from Mars. Like, we're going to build an atomic blaster. Like, it's just something that I know, and I'll never forget that line in my life. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a fun call out that's silly, you know. And same thing for Medieval Madness or any other kind of comedy based game. It's part of the learning process of like, okay, I know where I am because I know that call out, I remember that joke, and now I know like I need 3 more shots now.
You're
to
right.
Get that.
More comedies in pinball would be fun. And
yeah, I mean, not for everyone. Like, it's not like Evil Dead. Well, yeah, and that's I don't know, that couch multi-ball on Seinfeld. We could go for days, or Friends if you're a Friends guy. I don't know.
I am a Friends guy.
See, that's why we can't be friends now because I hate Friends.
Oh, my wife and I watch in the Seinfeld group.
I'm sorry.
Watch it every day.
No, I've never laughed once watching Friends.
You're wrong.
Even Pivot. I'm like, yeah, that's somewhat funny, but that's that's no Vandelay. That's no Vandelay Industries.
True. No, it's very true.
And you want to be my textile salesman. But anyhow, yeah, but like literally, you know, at the end of the day, as someone who's a diehard pinball player such as yourself and myself, you could literally make a game like Keith Elwin could make a game about the phone book, as boring as that is. And if it's a great game and I still want to play it and it's fun and you do a great like idea and you execute it well, and it's engaging and fun and shoots great, I'm gonna love that game. That's gonna be probably one of my favorite games of all time. It doesn't matter, you know, like that. The theme is just what gets like the initial quarter, like the initial interest, the attraction, right?
It's the play that gets the second dollar,
and it can keep you. And sure, and if it's an engaging thing, it'll keep you there. Like you're engaged with the story and the people and stuff like that. But like as a competitive player, like that's just another level. That's the beauty of pinball. People play for different reasons. They do play for score and trying to figure out the exploit of like, okay, so how do I maximize the amount of value of points I can get with the littlest amount of shots and the safest amount of shots I can do. That's also part of the hobby, you know, and that's part of the competitive
But it's also
scene.
You get games like, I have Jurassic Park in my house right now, right? And I had never got to the visitor center.
I'm not me, man.
I finally got to the visitor center, and now I want to escape from Nublar. I'm not good enough. It's going to be really hard, but the addiction to do that is what we've talked about that earlier. Is what they've done with Code has just been phenomenal. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a great landmark game. And again,
last question in this segment: Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
your favorite. We talk about this every week. Is Alice in Wonderland going to ship from DPX this year? Say it on the record, sir.
Oh, boy. Wow. You're really putting me under the spotlight on this one. Oh, my God. I want...
This is an inside joke for the
chat, the Discord
go ahead.
Group.
You go ahead. You can take this anywhere you want.
Look, again, people are new to the hobby, and I get it. They don't know the history that Dutch Pinball has gone through as a company. And if you look into it and you go through that incredible, like, what is it, 10 years now? It's been 10 years since they first announced the Big Lebowski. I'm not sure. It's very close to that. And they just finished their main company, not just DPX, not just like the offshoot branch. We're talking about Dutch Pinball, the main company. They just finished their final run of Big Lebowski's, and the early adopter group that put in their money 10 years ago are just getting their games this year. That's crazy. And that gives me, as a buyer, again, I don't have enough money to buy any new in-box pinball machine, I'll be completely frank. But if I did, it would give me a bit of pause to think, okay, maybe they've gotten their act together and they've streamlined everything now. That's totally very reasonable thing to understand. But just take it with a grain of salt when they say we're going to have this all done by the end of like 2025. I think that's a real stretch. I don't think that's going to happen. I can guarantee that all the games will not be finished by 2025. I'm willing to go one deeper and say I don't think a single game will be released in 2025. So
not one game.
That sounds very unkind. It sounds very unkind, but just considering the amount of wait time that they needed to go through with Lebowski. Now, I understand there was a lot of external forces that Dutch Pinball had to deal with. They lost Yop to cancer. Tragic, like just heartbreaking. You could have just said, you know what? Our heart's not in anymore. We lost one of the founders. Barry could have just walked away, and they didn't. And I respect them for that. And they had problems with the manufacturing company that they thought could assemble all these parts, and they got basically extorted for like paying them more than they agreed to, and they would just hold on to the cabinets and the games. Like there's crazy stuff that was beyond their control, and I get it. But pinball's hard. Making pinball is hard, okay?
It's really hard.
And, you know, say what you will, I have other opinions again on the actual, like, the execution of the theme and the mechanical action and the gameplay of the theme. That's one thing entirely. But in terms of, like, their competency to manufacture, I don't have, as a consumer or potential consumer, I don't have that much confidence. I don't want to make that, like, sound like something I'm trying to hurt them or, like, hold on to your money. Most people put their money into it already, so they already have investment. So I'm not really talking anybody out of it. But I'm just saying, like,
curious what you thought.
Yeah, temporary. I'm just saying, people who have invested into it and people are really excited to play it. I'm excited to play it too when it's finally finished and ready to go and go out the door and get to people's like homes and on location. I don't know if it's going to go on location.
2 balls at Expo, and I had fun, but I couldn't hit the top ramp, so we'll see.
Yeah, I heard that was really tough, and that's a big shot in the game, and it's
vital.
You know,
all right,
like,
so
hard.
Here we go.
Yes, I will go on record. I don't know if any money is going to be. I'm not beholden to like paying anybody out.
I'll bet you $10. I'll bet you
$10. That one game, at least one game,
one game
that will be put on location or a person's home. A production game.
2025.
A production game will be released in 2025. Yes. Okay, I'll do $10. I'll do $10. $10.
Right.
American dollars or Canadian. That makes a difference. That's like $20 Canadian.
All right. I'll make $10 it
American. No, $10 US. That's fine. Okay. I can make it.
All right. Do we want to talk about the DeGenies now, or do we want to do the hurry up and then do the Degenerates?
Let's do the Degenerates and go to the hurry up. Sure. So,
all right. When did you come up with the Degenerate Awards? This is the 4th year.
Yes, this will be our 4th year. It really, at first, did not, in 2022, during the middle of COVID, when we were all kind of like really getting fatigued and staying at home, and it was difficult because, you know, you weren't, again, not having that social aspect of going to see people, and there was still a lot of concern about, a resurgence, constant resurgences, new strains and stuff. We didn't know we were getting out of this when or whatever. So I felt like, I wanted to do something for, again, the community that I have on Facebook, the Pinball Degenerates group. I wanted to do something that recognizes really not an industry award, which, again, nothing to knock anybody else out there, like the Pinball Industry Awards and the Twippies. They all have they're the big guys. They're the Oscars, the Academy Awards, and all that stuff. I wanted to do something very low key and kind of community focused, specifically in this case for, the people who are making really great stuff and doing really great stuff in the Pinball Degenerates group. So I came up with this kind of like fake award thing that I was just doing out of my bedroom, and I bought a bunch of awards thanks to David DeSluver from Ulick Store. He helped me, put together the awards, and I just kind of gave out about 15 or 16 awards, and also there was like the joke at the end where I was kind of razzing a couple people because it seems a little self-indulgent sometimes, these pinball awards. So at the end of it, I had a secret award. At the end of it, I gave myself an award. I gave myself the DOTE, the Degenerate degenerist of all time, DOAT, not the goat, the
Right.
dote, degenerist of all time. And I gave that to myself, and that's how I closed off the show. But, really, again, I wanted to, it was really, honestly, it was about recognizing all the awesome people that were my friends, most of them, or some people I didn't even meet. I've never even known. They're like a guy in Greece who did this amazing restoration, and I had to ship a trophy out to Greece, which was not inexpensive, let me tell you.
No, I'm sure.
So, but whatever, they earned it. They deserved it, right? And they posted cool stuff about their process and great photos, and it was just an amazing job. So I had to recognize that, and I just felt that this was fun, and that for me was just going to be like a fun joke one-off. And then people were like, "Wow, that was really fun." I really was like, "Really?" I was just like just with my headphones in my bedroom, just giving out awards, doing dumb jokes and having fun. And they're like, "Oh, you got to do that again. You have to do that again." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure. If people enjoy it, I'll do it." And so we kind of, from there, we've slowly kind of evolved, and it's very rapidly actually getting more and more intricate and elaborate. So the second one, we were on location at Cabin Fever. We did it. Robin let us do it. Cabin Fever. We did, with people playing pinball in the background, and we were giving out awards. I built this our mascot, Billy P. Ball. I built like a mascot to help present the awards, and we gave out a bunch of crazy awards and stuff like that for that night, and we had a lot of fun. And people were like, "Oh man, you got to do that next time again." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And then we did it more elaborate. But then I was like, for the third one, I want to do I don't want to just give out awards. I want to do something kind of like fun that's entertaining, because like the Oscars, they don't just give out awards. They do like segments and musical segments and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, maybe we can do like a little sketch, like a kind of a side plot that's going on. And so in the third one, the third annual DeGenies Awards, we had our mascot, Billy P. Ball, get kidnapped by these topper terrorists who were ransoming Billy for a Ghostbusters pinball topper. And so I was like, we do not capitulate to terrorists. We do not negotiate with terrorists. Billy, we love you, but like, you're on your own, man. Like, good luck. And so we did this Tarantino-esque Reservoir Dogs kind of sequence where Billy gets horribly maimed. And it's like a lot of dark, violent stuff that we put in there. A lot of dark kind of humor. And Billy escapes, but he barely escapes with his life. He's all bloodied and bandaged and bruised and everything. And then we kind of set it up as for this one that's happening, the 4th annual Pinball Degenerate Awards, happening March 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. It's going to be live. We'll have a live audience, and we're going to find out how Billy P. Ball is doing, our mascot, and we're going to try to save him because he's in a coma, and we need Dr. Dude, the one and only Dr. Dude, to save his life with his excellent ray. So we've got until midnight on the night of the DeGenies, March 15th, to find out if we can raise enough money to pay for his life-saving medical operation here. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. Does he live? Does he die? It's kind of like a reference to like the old school SNL when they had this bit called Larry the Lobster. I don't know if you go back that. Do you remember Larry the Lobster? So they had a lobster and like call in and vote if we should kill Larry or let him live. And at the end of the night, they said, well, we had more votes for killing Larry, so they boiled the lobster on the show. And they got a lot of letters, I'm sure, from the SPCA or whatever. But it was a great bit. Like, it was like a great way to engage your audience. And so hopefully people will really enjoy it. We're gonna have a live audience here. We're gonna have all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't want to get too I don't want to, like, literally the expectations for this has always been, I've told people a million times, this is not the Academy Awards, this is not the Twippies, this is not the Pinball Industry Awards or anything like that. The level of quality and entertainment that you should expect is basically like what you would expect from a third-rate children's beauty pageant. Okay, like please just temper your expectations. We're gonna have a bunch of technical problems, I'm sure. We're very, very ambitious for this, but we're just bear with us, have fun.
I'm familiar with technical problems, Joe.
It happens there, but hey, that was out of your hands, right? Like that, and that's what happened.
I mean, it was an internet outage. It was an internet
live
outage.
television, live television, folks.
So why are you doing it live? Why don't you do a 30-minute delay?
I don't even know how to do that on
It's
Twitter.
an OBS. You could do it.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's too late now. It's too late. Thanks for telling me now.
That next year will be the Twippies will be in a 30-minute.
We'll see. I mean, I might have a costume malfunction as well, so who knows? If you need any advice, I just went through it, brother. So For sure. Thank you so much for all the help you've done, honestly. And congratulations to you and the whole Twippy team. I've told you this a million times already privately, but I just want to say, like, again, you guys did an amazing job. Colin, you, Aaron, and Ian. Even Ian did a great job. And of
Ralph,
course, Ralph,
they're
Retro
great.
Ralph. Great hosts.
They're my friends.
Yeah, and they're my friends
too. I got to do the Twippies with my friends, and I get to do it again next year. And we're already planning. We already did it. We're doing a debrief next week.
Yeah.
We take it serious, right?
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun, right? And you're having fun with your friends.
It was an internet outage. There's nothing I could do.
No. And it was great. You guys came right back. You guys rallied together, and you guys just pushed through. And that's what teamwork and that's what you do when you're working with your friends, right? You're not like shouting at each other.
Next
and, like,
year will be better.
Pointing. Yeah, it's gonna be better and better for sure. Yeah. Like again, like you guys are the real professionals. I'm just doing a fun thing, right? But like,
I can't wait.
You guys have. Well, we'll see if it even gets to air. But we'll see. It's gonna be kind of like it's gonna be kind of like a mixture of like UHF meets like the Muppet Show meets Saturday Night Live.
Well, I can't wait.
I don't know.
Dude.
It's gonna be weird.
And
it's
so,
gonna
what
be really
day
weird.
is it again?
March 15th, Saturday night, March 15th, 8 p.m.
It's right
Eastern.
there.
Yeah, it's right there. You go. Right,
right there.
On YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook.
So you're going to use Restream?
I guess, even though you're trying to talk me out of it, we're going to give it a shot.
I think you should just do YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to make it as open as available to people as possible. You know what I mean? So I want to have that. I know. Because, again, like, it's all about having fun. And, like, again, it's just for the whole pinball community.
I'm going.
Yeah, that's probably the smart choice to do. And everybody's on YouTube. Like, everybody, like, I use it every day. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So that's great. I mean,
well, congrats. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be great. You're downplaying it way too damn much. It's
lower your expectations, please. That's the thing, is that lowered expectations is my mantra, because like if you exceed that, that's great. If you meet it, then that's great too, because it's like, yeah, that's as dumb as I thought it was going to be, no problem. But it's like you can't go any lower than that, than really low expectations, right? You can't be like, oh, that was a ripoff. I paid nothing for that and I wasted my. Well, there you go. Like you paid nothing. Like it was free entertainment. What do you want?
It's free.
You know, so
it's going to be great.
But we would appreciate, though, if people want to donate to the GoFundMe. I do have to say,
what are you doing with the GoFundMe? You're buying
well, we're trying to save Billy's life, but like, you know, there is actual costs that are associated with this. So that hopefully
you're not selling any tickets, and I think if
we are selling tickets. We are.
Oh, okay, good.
We are selling tickets for the live. It's only $20 though, so it's like a basic, like a very simple. Like you're gonna get one hell of a night for just $20. We have sponsorship from our friends at Reed's Distillery. They have a great like gin and seltzer mix that they're bringing, and people can have that. We're gonna have lots of fun. We're gonna have like it's gonna be kind of like a little pinball party, and it's just kind of like a weird show. It's gonna be very weird, and so hopefully it all works. Most
you
of it,
sold the shit out of it, Joe. That's a great sell.
I've been working really hard on it. So
you've been working,
and a lot of my friends, and also my friends. I gotta say, this thing doesn't happen like again, I make that reference to like, you know, the Muppet Show, because like Jim Henson is a big influence on me and a big inspiration, the late Jim Henson. And he had that one song, like, if one single person believes in you, then why not two? And if why not two, then why not three? Then why not three? Then why not four? And then why not four? Now why not more? And if all those people can believe in you, then you can believe in you too. Right. And that's the whole thing. It's like this happens, like it's like a weird snowball effect where it's like, I've got a weird idea. And then people are like, oh, I want to help that person because they're doing something cool. And I want to be part of that. And you know what I'm talking about, because you've got, again, like the great team with Ralph, Aaron, and Ian and Colin and everybody organizing, everybody behind the scenes. Donovan, your buddy Donovan, like all these people are just kind of, they're not doing it for the money. They're not doing it for glory. They're not doing it for anything. No. They're doing it because they love pinball and they want to do something really fun and exciting and something they can look back and go, wow, that was crazy. Like we did like a pinball awards show and we were like giving out real awards and we were like, it's crazy. You're only on this earth for so long, right? And you got to do stuff that like pushes you out of your comfort level and stuff that excites you and makes you, and it's fun. Like, why would you do something if it wasn't fun? So all these people that are helping me, they're having fun and we're having fun. Hopefully the night will be fun for everybody and watching and in the audience. And just, again, lower your expectations.
Have fun. You see, you're doing good. And then you went.
Lower your expectations though.
Stop that.
Please.
All right. Are you ready for our exciting rapid fire question and answer game called the Hurry Up? Now I love it. We're gonna try rapid fire, Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go quick.
Okay,
quick.
You're gonna do your best. This is Donovan Wade's brainchild from the Wormhole. Simple rapid fire questions. Starting with Canadian Football League or National Football League?
I hate all football. Hockey all the way, or baseball.
Favorite hockey player of all time?
Doug Gilmour, no question. They could have won. They could have won the Stanley. Well, maybe they would have gone to the Stanley Cup with Montreal in '93. But Wayne Gretzky, high stick Doug Gilmour in the face, no call, and then minutes later he scored the winning game in Game 6, and then ended the Leafs' hopes for getting to the Stanley Cup. I'll never forgive Wayne for that, and many other things that he's done recently. But we're not going to get into the politics of that. But Doug Gilmour, number 93. Killer. I love it. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
This one is, I'll tell you mine real quick. My favorite hockey player of all time is number 22, Mike Bossy.
Oh, Bossy. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Long Island, New York.
Of
Islander.
Course.
And there's 2 people out there that are listening that know Mike Bossy. Shitty movie, but great pinball machine segment time. Settle the argument once and for all. We're going to retire this question. Pick the best pin out of these 2 shitty movies.
Okay, Congo, that's subjective. Okay.
Congo or Johnny Mnemonic?
I'm gonna have to go Congo because I love the callouts. I think the callouts in Johnny Mnemonic are okay, but they're a little kind of like it's clearly a Keanu impersonator, and like I'm making a long distance phone call, and like there's a couple of those, but Congo, holy shit, you've got what's his name, Winston from fucking Ghostbusters. You've got Tim Curry as a Hulk.
Oh, that's right. He was in that movie.
Hippos! Zinj, what does it mean? And it's unbelievable. Like, it's just the call-outs in that alone are amazing. Amy, no like, bad gorilla. Like, just
such a bad movie,
shit.
Isn't it?
I loved it as a kid because I was a huge Michael Crichton fan by that time, and I was deep into the books, all of Michael Crichton's books, and I was excited to see anything after Jurassic Park get turned into a movie, including Congo. And I love, hey man, the movie ends with monkeys, like apes, getting cut in half by lasers powered by diamonds.
It's fucking terrible.
Like, it's fucking amazing. No,
terrible.
That's amazing.
It's terrible movie.
And it's got also Bruce Campbell in the beginning of the movie. He's just there.
It has Laura. What's her name?
No, not Laura Dern. Laura Linney. Yeah, Laura Linney. Yeah. So
she doesn't.
Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson is Ernie Hudson. Sorry,
it's a terrible movie.
Dylan Walsh. You got Dylan Walsh. You got Tim Curry. I mean, Tim Curry is amazing. He is one of the greatest character actors of all time. I love Tim Curry, and I think the shots are amazing. And I got to say, I mean, some people have maybe mentioned this a little bit, but everybody loves Keith Elwin's first production game, Iron Maiden. Okay. And you know what? He's gone on record as well, before he even released Iron Maiden, talking about how much he loves Congo as a game, not a movie, but he loved Congo. If you look at Iron Maiden and you do a mirror flip of that game, you take the playfield and you flip it horizontally, it is the exact same layout, pretty much, almost shot for shot, as Congo.
Pinball has just been named an Olympic sport.
Oh, God.
And you get to pick 4 players to represent Canada in the next Olympic Games.
Wow.
Pick your top 4 Canadian pinball players to represent your beloved country.
Number 1, my boy, number 1 draft pick, Jack Tadman. I call Jack Papa Jack because he is a father. He is a father. But I think one day Jack Tadman has the skill and the ability to win Papa. One day.
This is your top 4, man. You're not messing around because where we're going in America.
Jack Tadman. I know you guys are going to kill us still. You guys will probably still. But number 2, Robert Gagnon from BC. Okay. Number 2 pick. Number 3, my boy Mike Savage. We call him Savage. And the way he's such a huge guy. He's a massively tall guy. He's a big guy. So he kind of does like the Ken Dryden thing. I'm again bringing it back to hockey. You know how Ken Dryden used to lean on his like hockey stick as a goaltender? I don't know if you know that. But so Mike, his games are so insanely long. Okay, like he'll get up to like 6-7 billion on Jaws or something insane on a regular day and be like, oh, it was okay. And like he has to sit down. He's a big guy. It hurts his back to stand for so incredibly long. So he sits, and we give him all kinds of hell for this. You know, like, oh, somebody bring up a chair. But he sits on like a stand, like a stool. He still sits on like a bar stool, and he will play for literally hours on like your Iron Maiden, on your Jaws, on anything, on Foo Fighters, on any modern.
So that's 3.
So that's 3. Number 4. Oh man, who's my 4th?
This one.
I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to go Adam Becker because he is a Pinburg champion, and he's kind of semi-retired. But I'd say like Adam Becker, like he's done
I mean,
so
this
much.
is the Olympics, Joe.
He's a pinball. He's an actual.
He'll
legit
come out of
pinball
retirement
champion.
for the Olympics.
I'm sure he would. Yeah, and like if we're just trying to win the gold, you know what I mean? Like we just have stone cold killers. You have to go Jack Tadman, Robert Gagnon, Mike Savage, and Adam Becker. That's my top 4 pick.
All right, Teolis is going to be pissed.
Teolis is great, but like, you know, I mean, I don't know. Are you going to put Teolis on like modern games? Are you going to put him on like Dungeons and Dragons? I don't know. Is he going to?
I don't know. It's your team.
I've seen Teolis play some of the modern games, and he's, you know, unless it's Rush or he knows his stuff when it comes to like music pins, especially the ones that he owns, like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
like holy shit, he can put up a clinic on Led Zeppelin. Like
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah,
all
but
right,
I love Jeff.
With the increased fan base of Formula One.
Oh wow!
Should Stern do a Formula One pin? Yes or no?
You know, it's funny because, like, you know, Gary's always talking about like how things will be successful in the European market. I think it would do much better, like you do like a Lewis Hamilton themed pinball game. And I could see that doing very well.
Put him in the new Ferrari, right?
Yeah,
up
man.
top.
Yeah, for sure. Like I could definitely see a Ferrari game too. Like if they can do a Mustang, they could definitely, or like Corvette, they could do a Ferrari game for sure. But going back to F1, like I do watch some, like we have F1 here in Montreal in Canada. I've gone to like at least 4 F1s, and it's amazing.
Addicted, dude.
You got to come up to Montreal. You got to come to Montreal, man.
I started watching the F1 on Netflix during COVID, and now my wife and I don't miss a race.
Yeah, that was a great series. A lot of people.
Oh, it's fantastic, and the new one is coming. It just came out, so I need to watch it because it's fantastic, and I'm team.
Yeah, and people don't understand the grueling amount of physical duress. Like that is unbelievable. Like it's unbelievable. It's crazy. Like I can't even like. It's hard to just watch them race like and have that concentration.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it'd be a great pin. What Hot Wheels could have been.
I like Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels is fun, but I think I mean, if you have a fast, depending on the designer, right? All depending on the designer. If you've got a fast, flowy game and you get the sound effects of like the rumble of the engine and like just speeding out and like crazy like call outs and like he caught him in the hairpin and just crazy high octane entertainment. I think there could be a market for it, especially in the European market. And again, like it's great to see it become more and more popular. In North America, certainly because of the races like Las Vegas and like do they have one in Texas? They have a Grand Prix in Texas.
Yeah, we have one in Austin.
Yeah, you got one recently, like in the last couple 5 or 6 years or something. So
we're doing really great on this. Hurry up, we're doing good.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's not. But yes, I think it would be successful. Yes.
All right. Last couple of questions. These are for because we know you're a film major, ladies and gentlemen. And
I'm not a major. I'm a bachelor. I'm not a major.
Okay.
But I'm sorry. It was my major. I'm not a what's the word? Like a master. I don't have a master's. I have a bachelor in film production. You have a
bachelor's in film production. Yeah. So you like your film. So we're going to ask you a couple of film questions.
Let's do it. Okay, here we go. We're
Godfather 1 or 2.
Choose. Man, that's like saying like Star Wars, New Hope or Empire, because like you can't have the second one, no matter how superior the second one is. The first one sets the groundwork of the first one. I'm still gonna have to go with the first one. I'm a purist, and like it's not like Empire where like there's like it doesn't work without the first one. Godfather 2, you can still kind of understand the concept and go into it without having to have too much of a backstory, but you don't have in Godfather 2, even though you do have Robert De Niro, which is amazing.
I mean, come on.
You do have that, but you don't have Marlon Brando. There's only like 1 or 2.
But the answer is 2.
But Marlon Brando is the Godfather. Like when I think in my brain, that is Marlon Brando. It's not his son Michael. It's not Pacino. When I think of the Godfather, I'm thinking of look what they did to my boy. They massacred my boy. Like that's the Godfather. That is the Godfather. All right. It's Brando.
Number 1 he chooses. Which Stanley Kubrick movie would make a great pinball machine?
Holy shit. Right off the bat, The Shining would be amazing.
Yeah.
You break down the door and Shelley Duvall.
Great answer.
And you just get in there.
That's perfect.
And it's got so many great call outs and music is amazing. I love, the haunting, music of the Shining. It would be a great horror theme. You wouldn't really have much room for comedy because it's a pretty straight laced kind of atmospheric movie. It's not really like even a horror movie. Like there's very little violence until the very, very end, right? It's all about like mental insanity. And if you could like relate that, another one would be great. Would probably be like, one of the more kind of popular crowd pleasers would be Clockwork Orange for sure. Like you could probably do a great Clockwork Orange. Like you lock your three droogs, and then you go out for a night of ultra-violence multi-ball. Like I could see. I mean, there's some problematic scenes that you might want to stay away from in a Clockwork Orange. I don't think that you could do like a 2001. That wouldn't work. It's just so like cerebral and slow. I think, yeah, for sure, The Shining would work great because that's a huge crowd pleaser.
I think
game.
The Shining is probably
you can't do like
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
I don't know.
Very weird. But, weird. Or like Full Metal Jacket would be too much. Full Metal Pinball. I don't know. That's not gonna work. It's too dark. I would think like more of the crowd pleaser kind of more. Sort of like maybe I'm missing one that's just out of left field that I just can't remember because Kubrick did so many different great genres. He was a master. And the great thing about Kubrick is that every time he did like a new movie, it was a different genre, like completely different direction, right?
Right.
And people would at the time they'd go, "Oh, this is no like Clockwork Orange is like that's no Doctor Strangelove," or they'd say like, "Oh, Doctor Strangelove, that's no 2001." They'd always be like compare it to the previous movie. And then when Eyes Wide Shut came out, he passed away, and then people didn't like really adopt it till much later and like appreciate it because they're always comparing it to his previous movie, which by the time his next movie came out, it was considered like a masterpiece. You know what I mean? So I think hopefully enough time has come where we can talk about it, about what if Eyes Wide Shut is a great movie. I think it's a pretty interesting movie, but definitely not a pinball movie. Not a pinball theme. You're literally just throwing your money away if you buy the IP of Eyes Wide Shut.
All right, last question for you, sir.
I'm so sorry it's taking so long. You talk about movies now. I'm talking about movies now, which I love even more than pinball. I'm sorry to say.
No one plays the hurry up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I let it go because I like it, and I don't care.
You're very generous.
Matter. It's my show.
All right.
Who cares?
Hopefully people are still listening.
They are.
Okay.
They are. So we're at an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
So this is what we're going to do. The last question.
Yes.
What the hell is pea meal bacon? And as the pickiest eater you'll ever meet, will I ever eat any of this?
Okay. Do you like ham?
Yeah, I like ham.
Okay. That's basically what pea meal bacon is. It's a loin. It's pork loin. It's a salt cured pork loin. Okay. Like a pork chop. Like you take a pork chop, right? You take the bone
I love
out.
pork chops.
Okay. So you take the bone.
I dig on swine.
Hey, I dine on swine too, man. I'm Italian. They say Italians love like eating pork so much that if Italians could figure out how to cook the oink, they would eat it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get that joke, but anyhow. So a pea meal bacon is basically a pork loin. You take the bone out like you would have in a pork chop, and then you brine it in like a salt water brine, like a wet brine. Okay, and you brine it for like a day or two. And then they used to, as a sort of, again, it's not bacon, it's not the belly. It's like a British bacon, like what they would call like, rashers and stuff, or American style, which is the most of the bacon that I eat when I'm eating bacon is like strip bacon from the belly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's real bacon. That's actual real bacon.
Not the Canadian bacon crap.
We call it pea meal. It's not, again, it's like, if you're not from Canada, I get it. You call it Canadian bacon. But if you're in Canada or in Toronto, which is like the home of the pea meal bacon sandwich, okay? If you come to Toronto, must have.
I'm there.
It's like going to Chicago and not having deep dish pizza. Like it's like, going to Austin and not having barbecue. Like you're insane. Like you did not experience Austin, Texas, if you didn't have barbecue, for Christ's sake. If you didn't have brisket,
I can't wait to go to Toronto, hang with you, and get some pea meal bacon.
Yeah, so they slice it, they wrap it in what used to be ground up peas, but now it's not ground up peas because that's too expensive and it's not really tasty. They just roll it in cornmeal. Now, okay, they roll it in cornmeal, so there's no pea in the pea meal bacon anymore. They roll it in cornmeal, and then they just like sort of like leave it to like sort of in the fridge to like set up, and then you slice it pretty, not super thin, but like pretty thin slices, like you would ham, like slices of ham, and you fry that up in a pan, and then you throw it in on a bun, like a Kaiser roll, maybe a little bit of like if you want some mustard, like I like a hot honey mustard, like something sweet and a little spicy in there. And that it's just like this perfect the bacon is so salty and fatty, and it's got a bite to it. Unlike like bacon, which I personally like, people different kinds of bacon. I'm a foodie guy too, so you hear me talking about three things: pinball, movies, and food. These are like my top things I rant
this is
about.
perfect. This is what
So
I tried to do.
this is all my wheelhouse, man. So bacon, people have different preferences in how they like to cook their bacon. I like
Yeah.
crispy. I like semi-crispy bacon. Like I like it not to be like shatter in your mouth like glass, but
Yeah.
pretty close. Like a good chew,
Me too.
but like not chewy, like it's like ew, like
Yeah.
I'm chewing on some rubber. Anyhow, so but female bacon, it doesn't get that way because it doesn't have the fat, right? So you can
Okay.
fry it. It gets just so it gets warm through. You don't want to overcook it, also get dry. You just cook it through like you would ham, like a ham sandwich, and it just melts apart in your mouth. All the different little like fibers break apart in your mouth, and you just chew it, and it just melts in your mouth. It's beautiful. It's literally like our national, like not our city sandwich. Like we used to call Toronto Hogtown because there was so many pigs that they slaughtered. It's a real thing. They used to call Toronto Hogtown as a nickname because they slaughtered and sent out so many pigs across North America to like New York State, which of course, yeah, you know, like you know very well, and all across North America. But like yeah, like all across like the Eastern Seaboard, Toronto was like the epicenter of pig slaughter in North America.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah. Hey man, and there's very few places there. You got to go to in Toronto. There's a St. Lawrence Market. They have the Carousel Bakery. That's the best place to get a fresh Kaiser roll that's baked that morning. They got the best female bacon sandwiches at even Anthony Bourdain, the late great Anthony Bourdain, who was like a spirit animal to me. Late great Anthony Bourdain. I loved him, and he came to Toronto. That was like one of the first things he tried, and he loved it. So you got to come to Toronto, have a female bacon sandwich, have some poutine, have all kinds of different crazy stuff that we have up here in north. We have a lot of hearty food because it's cold. You got to stay warm. You got to carb up, you know. So
Joe,
that's great.
Thank you so much for today. I really
thank you. Honestly,
I had a really great time with you. I had a really great time with you. Thank you so much. Where can people find you and your podcast again?
Oh, I don't know if they want to find me, but digitally you can find me. Yeah, just on Facebook.
Okay.
I also have a really dumb, kind of a joke Instagram account called Pin Butts. And it's basically, I just went through all of the artwork and back glasses and playfield art of all the pinball machines I could find to find all the butts, like male, female, even animal butts, any kind of butts. I've just cataloged on this Instagram, but you can message me on that. It's kind of a joke account that I became my default account when I lost my original account to hackers. But yeah, on Facebook you can find me, Joe Ciaravino, and obviously on the Pinball Degenerates page, I'm there. And yeah, just answer 3 simple questions, like just to prove you're not
3 questions.
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, even if you don't have an IFPA number, it's just there as like a placeholder to make sure that like the bots aren't like putting like my number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not your IPA number, buddy. So you're not getting in. So yeah, I mean, if you don't have an IPA number, don't worry about it. Just let me know what your favorite pinball machine is and agree that you're not going to be a jerk in the group, and then you're in.
And you're in, and watch the Degenerate Awards, Pinball Degenerate 4th annual, March 15th.
Maybe the last, who knows?
Depends how it goes. You got this. All right, Joe, what a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir. I had a great time with you. Thank you for hanging with me and getting to know you a little more. It was awesome. I appreciate it.
Me too. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. That was fun as always. Long. Boy, Joe and I can talk, huh? When I first met Joe, I actually didn't even think he was a real person. I was like, this person is the most excited and nice person I've ever met. This is a caricature. This isn't real. And he really is genuine, and that's why I like him. He's just excited, and he was excited to be on the podcast, and that warms my heart. So thank you so much, Joe. Today is March 4th. I'm still kind of decompressing from the Twippies a little bit, but I did have the best time hanging out with my friends, and Ian, Aaron, Ralph, and Colin. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. There's nothing we can do with internet outage, but I think we did a really good job, and hopefully you guys liked it. If you want to see the Twippies again, the VODs are up on YouTube. But check out content made by Retro Ralph. He made a YouTube video about the entire weekend. It is a fantastic recap. And he also then went through and did another recap on his the flip side on his podcast. So thank you, Retro Ralph, for that. That was very, very nice. Excellent article as well, written by Ian Jacoby of Nudge Magazine. They both cover the weekend very, very well, so I don't really need to talk about that anymore. Speaking of YouTube, we're going to be making the switch, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be ditching Twitch. And I'm sorry we had a good run on Twitch, but I think it's time to say goodbye. So honestly, we want to broadcast in 4K moving forward, and I can't do it on Twitch. And so I hope you follow us from Twitch to YouTube on March at TPF. That will be streamed on YouTube and not our Twitch channel. So I'll give you ample notice of that. Next big event again is TPF. I can say we're bringing Devil King by Technoplay. Check that one out. We're bringing a Geiger conversion kit. The pinball is called Sky High. That is wild, total ripoff of Neverending Story. And we are bringing an Alvin and G football. And we're also bringing Pulp Fiction. We're going to bring that Pulp Fiction, and there's going to be a little topper on it by Electric Playground. So I'm excited to say that. And we're going to actually, please stop by our booth at TPF, because we're going to have a little scaled down booth. I think we went a little crazy sometimes with the big walls, but we're going to scale the booth down. But Electric Playground is going to be right next to us. And then Friday night, we're going to do a happy hour. So stay tuned for more information about the happy hour at TPF. And then Saturday night, we're going to be streaming the Texas Pinball Festival Wizards Tournament live on YouTube, not Twitch. And very excited to be streaming that for my 4th year in a row. Thanks again, Joe, for coming on. This was a long podcast, so I'll just leave you with thank you. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you for the community. Thank you for embracing the wormhole and treating me as nicely as you do. I really appreciate it. God bless you.